People all over the world love Rick Harrison of Pawn Stars on the History Channel. So you can imagine how shocking it was when rumors started to spread that Rick was going to spend the rest of his life in prison. This rumor got more attention because Rick has had some pretty serious legal problems and personal problems in his life. Let's look at what happened to Rick Harrison and find out how he is now. Rick was born on March 22, 1965 to Richard Benjamin Harrison and Joanne Rue Harrison. His parents had 4 children, Sherry, Joseph, Rick, and Chris. Rick was the 3rd child. Rick's life began with tragedy when he lost his sister, Joanne Harrison. Sherry was the Harrisons' first child and was born with Down syndrome. Sadly, she died when she was 6 years old. As if that wasn't enough pain, Rick started having seizures when he was 8 years old, leaving him with no choice but to he spent a lot of time in bed reading books, especially ones about physics and history. One of his favorite series is The Great Brain by John D. Fitzgerald. This character inspired Rick when he was younger. As a teenager, Rick went to Taft Middle School in San Diego, but dropped out in 10th grade to sell fake Gucci bags for $2,000 a week. But that all changed when his parents' after their real estate business failed. The family had to move to Las Vegas, Nevada. In April 1981, Rick, who was now a teenager, had to deal with another problem when Rick's girlfriend Kim got pregnant while he was still pretty young, and he bravely decided to become a dad. Unfortunately, they lost their first child to a miscarriage, but they stayed strong and got married a year later. They then had their first child, Corey, who went on to be very successful and an important part of their family. 2 years later, they were happy to welcome their second child, Adam. Not long after Adam was born, something terrible happened, and Rick and Kim broke up. But Rick didn't stay a single dad for long. Just 9 months after his divorce, he started dating Tracy. They dated for about 8 months before getting married a year after their divorce. With a new partner, they took care of Corey and Adam. With a bigger family, Rick needed a better way to make money. So when Rick's father opened a 300-square-foot used gold and silver coin shop on Las Vegas Boulevard South, Rick, who was repossessing cars at night, had to join his father in the new business. As we've already said, Rick loved physics and history, but he didn't realize that the skills he learned in those classes would help him in the new business his family was starting. Rick's knowledge of history helped the shop succeed because he could back up every piece with historical evidence. 5 years later, the family moved to a better location on Fremont Street, but they had to move again after 2 years because they lost their lease. Later, he and his dad decided to turn the store into a pawn shop because they thought it was the next logical step. However, they couldn't become a full-fledged pawn business because of a law in Las Vegas that only gave out a certain number of pawn licenses based on the number of people living in the city. They planned to apply for a pawn license as soon as the required number of people moved into the city. The father and son finally got their pawn license that same year and opened the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop at 713 Las Vegas Boulevard South, not far from the Las Vegas Strip. At first, they focused on selling rare sports and historical items, but jewelry quickly became their best-selling item. Over time, their business grew and became well-known in Las Vegas, and Rick became a co-founder of the show and shop. He spent most of his life working hard to make it successful. By 2005, they were lending millions of dollars every year and making hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest. The next year, the store became famous for having rare sports items with interesting histories. They also helped gamblers get money for gas to get home. Their growth and popularity caught the attention of the History Channel, which led to the creation of Pawn Stars. Over time, jewelry became their best-selling item, and their business grew and became well-known in Las Vegas. Become a co-founder of the show and shop. He spent most of his life working hard to grow and expand the pawn shop business. By 2005, they were lending out millions of dollars a year and earning hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest. The next year, the store became famous for having rare sports items with interesting histories. They also helped gamblers get money for gas to get home. The History Channel noticed their growth and popularity, which led to the creation of Pawn Stars Brent. Left Field Pictures Montgomery and Colby Janes came up with the idea for Pawn Stars while on a trip to Las Vegas in 2008. They loved the variety of interesting and shady pawn shops and thought that these shops could be home to interesting characters. They looked for a family-owned shop to base a TV show on, and eventually found the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, which was less than 2 miles from the Las Vegas Strip. This shop had already been the subject of a PBS documentary in 2001, and Rick had wanted a show about his shop for years. The show was first pitched to HBO, who didn't like the original idea but let it be changed into the family-friendly style we now enjoy. It was first called Pawning History, but the name was later changed to Pawn Stars to better fit what they were filming. The name is a play on the words porn stars. The show began filming at the famous Gold and Silver Pawn Shop in Las Vegas, Nevada. Jewelry is the most common thing that people pawn there. During filming, the store is often closed to the public and only a few approved customers are allowed inside. The Harrison family became very popular because of the show. Many people watched it, gave it good reviews and wanted more, which helped the show grow and come back every year. By 2011, Pawn Stars was the most popular show on the History Channel and the second most popular reality show after Jersey Shore. Rick published his autobiography, Licensed Upon Deal Steals in My Life at the Gold and Silver, which was a bestseller. That same year, it got to number 22 on the New York Times bestseller list. That same year, Rick divorced his second wife, Tracy. The next year, he got engaged to Deanna Bird, who was also divorced. Rick was happy with the show's success and his growing fan base. Corey and Chumley played themselves in an episode of iCarly called I Lost My Head in Vegas. 4 days later, Rick played an antique store owner in an episode of another show called The Middle. This time, he married Deanna Burdett in Laguna Beach, California. Through this marriage, he had 3 stepdaughters, Serena, Sienna, and Marissa. In July 2014, the History Channel premiered the game show Pornography, on which Rick, Corey, and Chumley competed against contestants to stop them from winning cash and items from the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop's inventory. Sadly, Rick and his family would go through a series of terrible tragedies, starting with the death of their father in June 2018. Rick told his more than 250,000 Instagram followers that his father had died, saying that Parkinson's disease was to blame. A Harrison family representative confirmed the father's death. Rick posted a close-up picture of his 77-year-old dad wearing a black suit, glasses, and a fedora, and wrote a touching tribute to the man who had helped him run the family business. Richard Benjamin Harrison, the old man, passed away this morning surrounded by his loved ones. He will be deeply missed by our family, the team at Gold, and the old man Harrison was loved by many, including Silver Pawn and the History Channel, which said in a heartfelt statement, "We are deeply saddened by the passing of our friend Richard the Old Man Harrison, a cherished member of the History and Pawn Stars family. We will miss his wisdom and honesty. Our thoughts are with the Harrison family during this difficult time." Rick also talked about how his father affected him, saying, "He was my hero, and I was lucky to have such a cool old man as my dad. So many people got to know what a great family man he was," he said. He lived a full life, and through Pawn Stars he touched people everywhere, teaching them the importance of family, hard work, and humor. "We appreciate everyone's thoughts and prayers and ask for privacy during this time." Even posted a second picture of his father in a Navy uniform as a young man, writing, "Today I lost a friend, a father, a teacher, and so much more. The old man lost his long battle with Parkinson's this morning. Love you, Dad. See you on the other side." Losing his father made Rick very sad, and he was now the only one who could care for his family and run the shop. On top of that, Rick was going through a divorce from his third wife, Deanna Burdett, which was recorded in court papers obtained by TMZ. Rick said in the lawsuit that their tastes, opinions, and preferences have become so different that they can't get along in marriage. TMZ also said that the divorce might have been overlooked because it happened during the national George Floyd protests. Rick told TMZ, "I got 3 great daughters out of it," referring to Deanna's 3 children from her previous marriage. He also said that the marriage didn't work out and the divorce happened, was an agreement between both parties. He also said he has moved on from the father-daughter photos he recently posted on Instagram, but it's clear that he still thinks of his stepdaughters as his own. In an August 7th Instagram post, Rick wrote that he had said similar things about more than one of his stepdaughters, so that's a good thing. Despite the problems, Rick dealt with them with help from his son Corey and his best friend Austin Chumley Russell. A year later, Rick married his 4th wife. Amanda Palmer with hopes of a better life together. But Rick's problems didn't end there. 2 years later, he got into legal trouble with his mother, Joanne Rue. According to USA Today, Rick's mother, Joanne Harrison, has sued him over family assets and ownership of the gold and silver pawn shop. The civil lawsuit was filed in Nevada State Court. Rick Harrison owns the gold and silver pawn shop and is the owner of Harrison Properties. In the case, George Properties and other people are named as defendants. Family businesses can be hard to run because money problems can break up relationships. Unfortunately, this is what happened to the son and mother. Rick and Joanne's relationship was really strained by disagreements over money. Rick's mother accused him of breaking a contract, pointing out that his mother had been married to his father for almost 60 years. But Rick had her sign over 51% of the pawn shop while she was in the hospital in the early 2000s. Just after she woke up from a coma, there was a time when she didn't fully understand what she was signing. This didn't look good for Rick because fans of the story had always thought he was a family-oriented person who wouldn't hurt his family for money. When Rick's father died, his wife inherited his 49% share of the pawn shop, but her son never gave her the full financial records of the business. She said she hadn't received proper records for more than $500,000 in cash. She said Rick had stopped sending her money from her late husband's share of the business. Rick used to send her regular $25,000 payments, but he stopped in 2020. Joanne was also trying to get that allowance reinstated through the courts. Many fans thought Rick's wealth was in danger because, according to reports, Joanne filed a temporary restraining order against her son to stop him from selling any of the family's assets. Rick would also be prevented from she was sued for unspecified damages, a full account of assets, and a court order that Rick couldn't use his mother's money or do anything else that would lower her stake in the family business. Rick also had to give up any control over her property through a constructive trust. However, Rick later said in an interview about the case, "The accusations are false, and I believe that my 81-year-old mother is being influenced by others for their own gain." While Rick enjoys his comfortable life as a celebrity in charge of all the family businesses and finances, I am left scared and unsure if I will have enough money to cover my medical and personal expenses every month, Joanne wrote in her request. An article said that Joanne was over 80 years old and had many health problems that required round-the-clock care, which can cost up to $15,000. Rick said he only learned about the restraining order request from the news. He said, in the past few months, I've tried to get in touch with her many times but haven't been able to. In fact, one of the companies she is fighting is the Pawn Star seemed confused by his mother's lawsuit," he said. Even though Rick was facing many problems, the worst thing that happened was that he lost his son Adam to an overdose of fentanyl and methamphetamine in January 2024. The medical examiner ruled Adam's death an accident, but worries grew when another resident noticed he hadn't been seen since January 17th. The landlord eventually found him unresponsive, which led to a call to the police. 2 days later, Rick posted a photo of himself and Adam at a restaurant on Instagram with the words, "You'll always be in my heart. I love you, Adam." Laura Herlovich, a family spokesperson, said on January 22nd that Adam had reportedly died of a fentanyl overdose. "We are deeply saddened by Adam's passing. Please respect our privacy as we mourn his loss," she said. Rick also spoke out about the situation in a statement, saying that the fentanyl crisis in this country needs to be taken more seriously. After Rick's emotional Instagram tribute to Adam, many people sent their condolences, including Donald Trump Jr., who just commented, "I'm sorry for your loss." Adam Harrison's older brother Corey posted a picture of the two of them as kids on Instagram and wrote, "I'll always love you, Bubba." Adam Harrison wasn't on Pawn Stars, but he did work at Gold and Silver Pawn before becoming a plumber. Corey said that Adam didn't seem interested in being on the show. Despite all the problems and sadness in his life, Rick stays positive and hides his pain behind work. He became very interested in politics and backed Donald Trump for president and Daniel Rodrimer for Nevada's 3rd Congressional District. At one point, he even thought about running for governor of Nevada. Rick also said he might run for U.S. Senate. "A lot of people in the party have talked to me about it, and I always think about it. I haven't made up my mind yet, but I'm keeping my options open because of his contribution." There's no doubt that people love him, so it wasn't a surprise when he was given the rank of colonel during an event. He was made a Kentucky colonel and in their grand parlor for an episode of the Pawn Stars spin-off that was partly shot there. The Kentucky colonel is the highest honor given by the governor of Kentucky. Things are also looking up for him romantically. He is now dating Las Vegas nurse Angie Peleshkin, which was confirmed by his rep to People. In a statement, Rick said, "Angie and I met 6 months ago. She is a nurse in Las Vegas, and we've been in Europe for the past couple of weeks, celebrating her birthday." Recently, several photos of the two of them dressed up for a fancy night out in Paris were posted online, giving fans a glimpse into their relationship. Rick no longer works full-time at the pawn shop. Instead, he stars in Pawn Stars part-time. This semi-retirement he is enjoying is not at all like the rumors of life in prison that some people have heard, because he is enjoying his time off with his grandchildren.